This is where legends are tested. Cleveland. This city knows heart. This city knows fight. And tonight it gets a new chapter. An MVP, a scoring machine, a playmaker who bends defenses and breaks ankles. But this isn't about the past. This is about right now. Home court debut. New city, new energy, same beard, same buckets. Cleveland, get on your feet, because when that ball hits the floor, when the step back creates space, when the net snaps, you'll feel it. James Harden, Cleveland. The home court debut starts now. Go Cavs. Welcome to another edition of the It's Cavalier podcast. It's your boy Mac, and tonight our Cleveland Cavaliers took on the Washington Wizards in a battle between two teams that could not possibly be further apart. I mean that from the heart. Cleveland entered play as the Eastern Conference's 4th seed. Washington is the 14th seed. They are obviously going in two very different directions. Trae Young ain't playing this season after being acquired from Atlanta. Same can be said for Anthony Davis. But assuming those two suit up for Washington next year, I do think that they could end up being a low-seeded playoff team, at least in my opinion. They got a lot of young talent over there, and you add in Trae Young and Anthony Davis and D'Angelo Russell and a couple of others that should be able to help them out of lottery territory. But ladies and gentlemen, tonight was supposed to be about the home debut of one James Edward Harden Jr., and rightfully so. This was his homecoming, his official Cavalier home debut. That is a huge deal. That is why I created that intro right there. There was just one problem. Sam Merrill. Money fucking Merrill, y'all. Money Merrill was out there flaming shit.
That boy is good.
Listen, Sam Merrill is one of these guys that you just can't help but love, because whenever he's out there, you already know what his main objective is to do, is to light your ass up from three-point distance. And honestly, he's a better point of attack defender than people give him credit for. He absolutely stole the show from James Harden and Donovan Mitchell. And I know Donovan had a great night. James had a great debut at home. Listen, all that is relative, but tonight was about Sam Merrill. Sam Merrill was brilliant. This dude was born to shoot the basketball. The Mormon missile was absolutely cooking tonight, especially in the first half that saw him explode for 26 points on a perfect 9 of 9 from the field, including a perfect 7 of 7 from deep. He passed Dean Wade just 2 triples into this one for 13th most triples in Cleveland history. And he just continued to light the Wiz up for triple after triple after triple after triple after triple. Listen, I could go on and on. He could not be contained. He was just 1 point shy of his career high through just 2 quarters. Absolutely insane stuff. He etched himself in the record books while doing so, becoming the first Cavalier since at least 2002, 2003 to shoot 7 of 7 without a miss in an opening half. Merrill's 26 points, and this is according to Cavs notes. Merrill's 26 points on a perfect 9 of 9 shooting in the first half is also the highest scoring total in an opening half by a Cavs player on perfect shooting from the field since that same season, 2002 to 2003 campaign. Crazy. Yes, indeed, Money Merrill was cooking tonight. I'll go ahead and throw the graphic up there for those of you who may be wondering about the night that he had. Listen, Sam Merrill's night against the Washington Wizards. You see the shot chart to the right over there. It's a bunch of circles. We don't like to see those red X's. No, sirree. And we only saw one of them. 32 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, 1 block, 11 of 12 from the field. The bulk of that obviously being from three-point range. He shot 91.7% from the field, 9 of 10 from three-point distance. That is 90%. He did all of this in 25 minutes of action. Jesus. I mean, this guy was absolutely on fire out there tonight. I wanted to discuss James Harden's debut from the tip-off, but I just couldn't do it just because Sam Merrill absolutely stole the show tonight. This was a wonderful performance from him, right? And obviously, having the gravity of James Harden and a Donovan Mitchell, of course, helps to open you up, right? It truly does. It helps that the defense now has to be extremely aware of the Harden Allen 1-5 pick and roll, which has so much gravity within itself. There are so many different faucets and avenues for the defense to be destroyed from an offensive standpoint from Cleveland, whether you talk about the on-ball creation of a James Harden who can step back and drill threes right in your eyeball or drive right past you to the rim, whether it be Donovan with his signature spider shake, high gathering to the rim and shooting a floater right over your ass or a layup, right? It's Jarrett Allen going downhill and dunking it home on your head. It's Jalen Tyson knocking down a shot from three-point distance or cutting to the basket off of a pick and roll himself. There's so many different things that this Cavaliers team has working for it that it's a scary sight. And this is without even mentioning Evan Mobley. Jeez Louise. We're not even at full strength. And obviously, competition is relative. It is just the Washington Wizards, as I led off by saying, the 14th seeded team in the Eastern Conference. That goes without saying. But this is a player. This is a team that it's looking like it's playing at a higher level. They have achieved a higher gear. And I think that you can't not see the potential. You can't not see it. Even if you're skeptical of the move for James Harden, it's hard not to see how well this team can function when they really got it going. And that's probably exemplified by guys like Sam Merrill, who is already shooting the lights out this year before Harden got here. He's taken it to another level. Obviously, tonight being the prime example of that because of the amount of open looks that he is now going to be able to be afforded, which was just a wonderful sight. And speaking of James Harden, because I don't want to make it all about Sam, and this very well could be. I could spend the entire live stream talking about how money Merrill was tonight, but I don't think that would do tonight's performance justice because there was a lot to take away from this one from the Cavaliers side of town. I'll get to Washington and some of the peskiness over there in a little bit, but I would be remiss if I didn't point out some of the other particulars about tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, wouldn't you believe it that James Harden only attempted 4 shots today? He was 1 of 4 from the field. All 4 of those came from three-point distance, but wouldn't you also believe it that he attempted 12 free throws, many of those coming off of three-point shots where he was fouled? Absolutely phenomenal stuff. Keep in mind, through the first 2 games of his Cavaliers tenure, Harden only attempted 10 total free throws. He came to the Cavaliers averaging 10.8 per game, which was 6th in the league at the time of the acquisition. He attempted 12 tonight. So he doubled that. Well, he didn't double it. He tied it and then some with the 12 total tonight. And he knocked down 10 of 12, which highly efficient, obviously 83.3%. He is an extremely efficient free throw shooter. And to see him be able to draw contact on three-point shots, not necessarily getting to the rim. He did that tonight too, but getting the bulk of these attempts from the arc is crazy. I mean, he's getting fouled left and right. And we knew this is exactly the type of stuff he could bring to the table, which it's nice to be on the right side of that for once as a fan. But you love to see it. Harden would finish in his home court debut with 13 points and 11 dimes. A double-double in his home debut to go along with 4 rebounds out there was a plus 18. Even in nights where Harden isn't as aggressive in hunting for his shots down towards the rim, or rather, driving towards the basket and trying to get to the rim, he can be extremely impactful because of the gravity that he holds and knows how to utilize very well. It frees up guys like Sam Merrill to get open looks. It frees up a Donovan Mitchell to be able to attack off the dribble or to be able to knock down that off-ball catch and shoot 3. It opens up Jalen Tyson cutting lanes to the basket. It opens up Jarrett Allen pick and roll games. I mean, there's a lot of things that we have seen over these first 3 games of the James Harden tenure. And even in games where he's only tipped in 4 shots, I think that speaks volumes about the level of impact that he can have. It's crazy. And then Donovan Mitchell, right? Donovan would finish with his 28th 30-point performance of the season. 30 points for him, 5 assists, 3 rebounds, 2 steals, was 11 of 19 from the field. So extremely efficient. That's 57.9% in case the math doesn't math to you. He was just 2 of 7 from deep, but honestly, I can forgo that considering how impactful, how efficient he can be inside of the three-point line, especially around the rim, where we know he is one of the better finishers in the NBA. Phenomenal stuff out of Donovan Mitchell tonight. He could not be stopped. Elsewhere, you have the likes of Jarrett Allen, who was once again phenomenal tonight. And I can't not point this out. I have to. I have to point out the fact that the guy drew a technical foul after questioning the refs tonight. He could very audibly be heard stating, "What the fuck was that?" to the refs. You never see that out of Jarrett Allen, which was phenomenal. But that was also in a third quarter that saw a pretty substantial Washington run out of the gate, 14-6 to be exact, bringing the game back to within 7 points at 82-75 at that point in time. So if anything, if you're talking about Washington, you do have to give them some credit, but simultaneously give the Cavaliers some grief for playing a little sloppy through the opening minutes of the third as they took their foot off the pedal from a defensive standpoint. They're also struggling to stop Washington on the glass at that point in the game, as they had 11 offensive rebounds during that run where Washington got back into it, which in turn turned into 15 second chance points. And that would be a recurring issue all night, despite the huge victory and performance from Cleveland, who would win this game 138-113. But in saying that, anytime Justin Champagny can and pull down 7 offensive rebounds, it's crazy. It's absolutely insane, right? They pulled down a total of 20 offensive rebounds tonight, guys. That's ridiculous. Cleveland has to put an end to that. That turned into 28 total second chance points. Now, Cleveland, for what it's worth, they scored 27 second chance points, so just one fewer, but this could have been a much more decisive victory had Cleveland been able to contain them on the offensive glass. Cleveland put down 16 offensive rebounds, and this was essentially a blowout. But still, there were points where Washington was legitimately crawling back into it and climbing back into it due to their efforts on the glass. So give them credit. They are working against a superior team, a superior talent in the Cleveland Cavaliers. But they do have some nice players over there, right? We already know Bilal Coulibaly can ball. He can hoop. We already know and are familiar with the likes of a Bub Carrington and a Trey Johnson and a Keyshawn George, right? And Sharife Cooper. Let's point that out, right? Former Cleveland Cavalier, former Cleveland Charge guard Sharife Cooper, in his 23 minutes and 36 seconds of action, did score 11 points, pulled down 6 rebounds, and doled out 5 assists and shot 4-9 from the field, including 3 of 5 from 3-point range. So credit where credit is due. They fought hard against a superior team, but this was Cleveland's victory for the taking, and it had kind of been that way all night, especially after the explosive performance of Sam Merrill. I just cannot get over how explosive this dude was in this game, and it was right out of the gate as he drilled 3 triples within the first quarter. And he instantly after coming in the second quarter around the 7 or 8 minute mark, if I'm not mistaken, he drilled his 4th off of a pretty good James Harden feed. And it's like that, right? The chemistry that James Harden and Sam Merrill are developing, and Jarrett Allen as well, it's phenomenal, right? The chemistry that they're developing really quickly out there is nice to see. And if I'm being completely honest with you guys, I am thankful for a game like this on the schedule, as it does tend to give a team a bit more time to try and cultivate said chemistry. And honestly, I'm a tech guy, right? I work in the IT field. I consider this type of opportunity somewhat of a sandbox, right? For those of you who may be familiar with what that term means, right? I consider it somewhat of a sandbox to test things out in real time. This time that they're getting against some of these teams that they're playing, including Washington, gives them the ability to try and learn and try and learn habits between one another. And that's mostly between James Harden and Jarrett Allen and the other 2 new pieces, Keon Ellis and Dennis Schroeder, trying to adjust and learn to where guys best fit on the court and tendencies and things of that nature and rotations on Kenny Atkinson's part. So it's a huge sandbox for them to try and learn and test things out. So that's why I do love games like this against lower seeded teams, because while you can't necessarily walk into it feeling like, oh, this is chalked up to a victory, it should be a victory and you should dominate. And that's exactly what they did for most of tonight's game, third quarter notwithstanding. And so it's enjoyable. It's been enjoyable to watch this play out in real time. But man, what a phenomenal performance from this team from top to bottom. As the Cavaliers, they enter today. If you did not catch the live stream from earlier on when I previewed this a little bit, the Cavaliers in their previous 15 games prior to tonight, they rank extremely well. They're obviously the number one team in terms of record, going 12-3 over their last 15. They are number one in points per game at 120.6. They are second in field goal percentage at 49.4%. They had the third highest plus minus for any team in basketball at plus 7.7. They were scoring a ton of points off of turnovers, fourth in the NBA in that regard at 21.5. They were knocking down that three-point shot at an extremely high level, 37.6% team-wide, which is fourth in the NBA. And that's just going to rise after tonight's performance, especially after Sam Merrill was out there running and gunning. And by the way, to that point, the Cavaliers shot 42.1% from three-point distance on 38 attempts. They knocked down 16 of those, 9 of which came from Sam Merrill. If anybody else shot better, they would damn well have shot like 50% from three-point distance. But Sam carried hard in that regard tonight. They are scoring 53.7 points per game in the paint over this 15-game stretch, which is fourth. They are scoring the sixth most second chance points at 60.4. They are first in offensive rating, 11th in defensive rating, 8th in net rating, but they are taking just 21.2 free throw attempts per game, which is 19th in the NBA during that 15-game stretch. That is certainly going to change once James Harden truly gets the lay of the land here. And again, he took 12 tonight by himself. That is going to go up. If I was a betting man, I would bet that number is going to go up. They took 32 total free throw attempts tonight to Washington's 18. Rather, they took 37. They knocked down 32. And that's 86.5%. So they took essentially 19 more than Washington did tonight, with the bulk of that coming from Donovan Mitchell, Jarrett Allen, and James Harden. Phenomenal stuff. That is going to help come the playoffs, where you need guys who can create off the dribble and get to the rim, draw contact, and even guys like James Harden who can draw contact from outside the three-point line. I never thought I'd see the day where the Cavaliers had the benefit of a superstar whistle, but here we are, and we got it, and I love to see it. So much that I could be saying. Jalen Tyson, let's get to him for a second. Jalen is a name that I think that a lot of people were a little bit worried about after the acquisition of James Harden from a role standpoint. Like, what would he look like? Is he going to get more? Is he going to continue to get more on-ball reps? Is he going to be playing off the ball more? Is he going to fall behind in terms of the offensive pecking order? And it's, to be honest with you, it's still a bit of a work in progress, right? Just 6 field goal attempts tonight, 0 of 1 from three-point distance, 7 total points in 21 minutes and 29 seconds of action for Jalen Tyson. I say it's a work in progress because what I truly believe is going to happen is Jalen is going to be rendered more and more off ball. He is going to be somebody that is maybe not necessarily stationary out in the corners or above the break. He will move around without the ball. We've seen him cut to the basket a number of times, whether that be baseline or a slot cut or out of the dunker spot. You have seen him, or really out of the pick and roll. We have seen him develop a nice chemistry with Donovan Mitchell in the pick and roll game, where he will get the pass and either out of the short roll, he will reroute it, or he will take that floater, which is dropped more often than not. And he's trying to do the same thing, I believe, with James Harden right now. You've seen that on a few possessions from James and Jalen as they try and work things out from a chemistry standpoint. But for Jalen in particular, I think that as long as he is moving without the ball, as long as he is knocking down that three-point shot with some more consistency, I really don't think you have to worry too much about him. The problem right now is that they're playing him at the power forward position. He is starting in the front court beside Jarrett Allen. That is not ideal, obviously. I covered from a pure ratings standpoint. The numbers do not love when Jalen Tyson is manning the floor, and they just haven't yielded good results most of the time this season. Last game maybe standing out in particular as the antithesis to that argument. But you hear what I'm saying. He's not a power forward. He can play there. He can operate there for stretches, but they're playing him there out of sheer necessity. And I think some of that has to do with why he is functioning the way he is. So I don't worry about Jalen. I will have more question marks when Evan Mobley gets back and what everything will look like, considering there's only one ball to go around, and James Harden and Donovan Mitchell are extremely high usage players. And in that regard, in that line of thought, I know I also brought this up during the live stream earlier on before this game. James Harden entered today with a massively lowered usage rate to his first two appearances in the wine and gold. When he was in LA this year, he had a usage rate of 34.9%, which was his highest usage rate since the 2020-21 season with the Brooklyn Nets. He had been in the 93rd percentile among point guards this year with LA. In Cleveland, through the first two appearances here, he has a usage rate of 26.4%. So that's about a 9 percentage point difference. That's huge. 9 percentage points when you're talking about usage rate, that is substantially lower. And it's not low by any stretch of the imagination. 26.4% is still pretty high, but it's nowhere near where it had been. And I think that is honestly the culmination of a couple of different things. It's Donovan Mitchell lining up beside him. As we know, Don has a usage rate north of 30+% as well. He entered today's game with a usage rate of 33.6%, which is in the 99th percentile among combos. But I think that having that additional creator out there in Donovan Mitchell has rendered James available off the ball more, not to have to feel like he needs to dominate possessions and be involved in each specific possession. Yeah, he'll touch it. That should be the case, but he's not going to dominate the ball, is what it has been through these first couple of games in the wine and gold. And it's been a pretty nice fit. I will have questions when Evan Mobley gets back. And honestly, we should see that, I'm hoping, on February 19th against the Brooklyn Nets once the All-Star break has passed. At least that's the hope right now. We don't have anything confirmed. We don't really truly know, but I think that's where we are right now. And I could not be happier about these first three games for James Harden in the wine and gold. A couple of other things that I want to take stock of tonight. I kind of pointed this out during the earlier live stream today too, but Keon Ellis and for what it's worth, Dennis Schroeder have absolutely been struggling from the 3-point line, more so Dennis than Keon at this point in time. But what they do bring to the table, I think, has been able to offset that to a degree. I just feel remiss if I did not point this out. Dennis, over his last 4 games, this is his 4th game as a Cleveland Cavalier. Over his last 4 games, he has shot, I shit you not, 2 of 15 from 3-point range. That is 13.3%. That is not good. That's not great. We already knew he entered the season not shooting well from 3-point distance, but he has been able to buoy that with dribble penetration, getting downhill, getting towards the rim, and drawing contact at times. I continue to believe that the 3-point shot will get back to around 34%. I think he entered today's game shooting somewhere around 35% on this season from 3-point distance. But he's got to, obviously, if he is to play large playoff minutes, because he'll be in the playoff, or he'll be in the lineup, he'll be in the rotation as the backup point, and rightfully so, at least to kick things off. But that 3-point shot has to fall, considering that he will be playing more off ball than he had been in previous stops, especially the Sacramento Kings. So I'm really hoping that three-point shot falls. Again, just 2 of 15 from three-point distance after these last 4 games as a Cavalier. Keon Ellis, on the other hand, it's been a little bit better for him, but not by much, I would say. The attempts are obviously there. He has attempted 15 triples, but he's only knocked down 5. That is good for 33.3%. So again, better than what Dennis has done, but not necessarily efficient himself. He's 38.9% from the field overall, but what he has done is muck things up on the defensive side of the ball. I pointed this out. I'll say it again. Keon has 7 steals now through his first 4 games as a Cleveland Cavalier, and he also has 3 blocks. He is averaging 1.8 steals and 0.8 blocks through 4 games in the wine and gold. That's great stuff. I really don't care about fouls at times because he has racked up probably more fouls than I would have liked. But at the same time, I think the ones that he has have been good fouls. In my opinion, he's been a plus 42 overall during that stretch of time. And I think that as he gets more and more comfortable playing alongside some of the guys that he's out there with in the second unit, I think it'll get better. He played by far the most time that he has as a Cavalier so far at 27 minutes tonight. Previous high was 20 minutes against the Denver Nuggets. So he is averaging 20.7. I think that is probably a good place for him in terms of overall minutes, considering that there will be more mouths to feed in the next couple of weeks as we get guys back like Evan Mobley and Max Strus and Dean Wade. Time will tell how Kenny decides to deploy these rotations and who's in and who's out and how much time and all that good stuff. But one thing I can say is that I think that Kobe Altman did a wonderful job, Mike Gansey and company too, for bringing these guys in because they addressed several needs in terms of perimeter defense, point of attack defense, defensive disruption in the passing lanes, dribble penetration in terms of what Dennis brings to the table. And that is like 3, 4, 5 times over with the acquisition of James Harden, who can consistently get downhill if he wants to. He wasn't exactly forcing the issue tonight. And honestly, he hasn't done that through his first 3 games as a Cav. But it says something that a guy can attempt 12 free throw attempts and only technically be credited with 4 total field goal attempts. I mean, it's great stuff. I'm loving what I'm seeing so far. And again, level of competition matters. That's all important stuff. But I'm not going to get too caught up in that because I do believe that this team is operating at a very high level right now on both ends. They can be guilty, just like many other teams have taken their foot off the pedal at times, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Sometimes they get a little bit lazy. Sometimes they turn the ball over a little bit too much. With some careless handling and bad passing at times. But these are all things that are curable. And from what I've seen so far, it's been awesome. It truly has. How have I gone this long without pointing out that Naquan Tomlin was great tonight? I mean, fresh off of making his contract official, he signed the official deal, I believe, today. He's out there just absolutely assaulting the rim. 8 points tonight for Naquan Tomlin, 5 total rebounds, 2 steals. He was 4 of 8 from the field. Didn't knock down a triple, but I don't care at this point, at least right now. The dunk he had off that turnover, that was the stuff of legends, right? I wish I could play the clip right here without getting demonetized. I had it loaded, but I tested it out on YouTube to see if I would get the stream demonetized, and that's exactly what would have happened had I did it. That said, watching him out there, it's just another huge reminder that hard work truly does pay off most of the time. And it's just such a lovely story because in the NBA, sometimes all you truly need is an opportunity. If you put in the work, if you're out here making sure that you're doing everything within your power to showcase your talents, sometimes a team will take a chance on you. Sometimes that team will be a contender like the Cavaliers, and you'll get that opportunity and you'll make the most of it. And that's exactly what Naquan Tomlin has done. For those of you who have been living under a rock, Naquan Tomlin signed a 2-year extension, or rather a 2-way deal a 2-year deal for worth up to $3 million. Yeah, you can argue he was worth more, but the Cavaliers really couldn't offer more. Either way, it was really nice to see Naquan Tomlin out there doing what he has done all season long, bringing the energy, making sure the vibes are up, and playing hard on both sides of the ball. And I can't ask for anything more outside of knocking down those shots. He still needs to get his ass in the gym and put up like 3,000 shots from distance. And maybe we'll end up seeing a Jalen Tyson level explosion from him from 3-point range next season. But even if he gets to around 35, 36%, I would be happy with that. But right now, he has done everything that the Cavaliers have asked of him and more. This is an undrafted gem that they have unearthed. And kudos to the player development staff because it's been a wonderful sight. Thomas Bryant gave the Cavaliers some quality minutes tonight. I know he finished a -6, but I don't buy into all the plus minus all the time. You do have to take it with a grain of salt. Thomas Bryant finished today with 6 points, 6 rebounds, was just 2 of 7 from the field, including 0 of 4 from 3-point distance. So he did miss all of his triples, but I thought the energy and the aggressiveness was clear as day out there, especially on that putback dunk that he had. And that's really what he's there for. He is there to be somebody that will pick up the slack from Jarrett Allen if Jarrett Allen needs a breather, considering that Evan Mobley is not available, Dean Wade's not available. You don't really have too many other options. And that's really it. That's really it from tonight. There's not too many other takeaways. This is against the 14th seeded team in the East. The Cavaliers kept it rolling like they should. And with that in mind, I'll go ahead and hop into the chat. First up, Jonah Quest says, money. Yeah, Money Merrill was cooking tonight, wasn't he? Chaz Erica says, hopefully after the All-Star break, we can see this team at full strength, including Max. Neverbloom says, love the thumbnail. Yeah, Money Merrill was on fire. I had to dust that one off. I actually used that one, I think, 2 years ago when Sam was absolutely explosive after a performance. It was either against Utah or Orlando. I can't remember which one, or maybe it was Milwaukee. I used it for something, and I had to dust it off because Money Merrill was absolutely unstoppable tonight. If like Spo says, Sammy Buckets, man, I'm so excited. Imagine a lineup of Harden, Don, Evan, Sam, Strus, or Tyson. Who do you pay attention to? I wish Sam was in the 3-point contest, but I know he likes this time off. And honestly, he deserves it. This has been a great season for Sam. He's dealt with some injuries this year, and I'm just happy to see him out there on that court and hooping because when he is on, he really can be explosive, and that's exactly what you saw tonight. And to your point, this is the conundrum for opposing defenses now. With Harden available for the Cavaliers, there's so much gravity that shifts his way. He'll draw doubles. Sometimes he'll draw triples on his drives to the basket. And if he's out there on that perimeter looking for a step back, I mean, good luck. He will reroute that to another player who was open, and the two biggest beneficiaries for that are probably going to be Sam Merrill and Jalen Tyson if they are in the starting lineup. Now, I don't think Sam will start once the lineup is healthy, obviously, but Kenny has a lot of lineup combinations at his disposal if he so chooses, and that's a wonderful thing for the Cavaliers to be able to roll out. It causes so many problems for opposing teams. Andrew Cotel says, just need the rest of the East to lose some fucking games. Yeah, and as a quick reminder, the Cavaliers entered play as the 4-seeded team in the East. They are now sitting at 34-21. They are winners of 5 straight, 9-1 over their last 10. If you look at the rest of the East that is ahead of them, that would be the New York Knicks, who are at 34-20. They're 8-2 over their last 10. The Boston Celtics are also rolling as of late, 7-3 over their last 10. They're 34-19. So there are 3 teams right now. I know I'm holding my 2 fingers up. Let me get that right. There are 3 teams in their Eastern Conference right now, as of recording this, with 34 wins. The problem is that the loss category, right? There is a small margin between these 3 teams: Boston, New York, Cleveland. About a game separates Cleveland from Boston as of recording this. Boston sits at 34-19. New York is at 34-20, and Cleveland's at 34-21. So you see where I'm going with this. Such a small margin there. And then Detroit, fresh off of being handed some of these suspensions, right? When talking about Beef Stew and Jalen Duren being suspended for a number of games, that could hurt them, but time will tell because JB has a way of inspiring guys. What have people always said about JB? That he often is at his best when he's playing undermanned. I know that's somewhere along the lines of what it was in Cleveland. But I'll be interested to see if Detroit loses some games without those guys because that's two huge cogs in the wheel over there. But time will tell. But yeah, we need somebody to lose some games so Cleveland can make up some ground. Nicotine says, Sam, Money Merrill, absolutely worth every penny. Kenny just had to be a hater and take him out before he got 10 threes. Quite honestly, I'm okay with that. I wanted to preserve the pristine 3-point percentage, 90% from 3-point distance. 9 of 10 is a hell of a fucking thing, man. That's crazy. Yeah, 9 of 10 from 3-point range is crazy to me. I just don't understand how this guy manages to do it because it's not all stationary. Sometimes he's on the move and he'll knock them down and he'll hit them because he's in a rhythm. But he's just it's phenomenal to see that stuff play out in real time as you're watching these games. It's just a beautiful sight. It truly is. Let's see here. If Like Spoke says, wonder what's going through Schroeder and Ellis's minds right now as they went from lonely Sacktown planning their vacation early to now watching Sammy Buckets lose his mind. Yeah. They're probably very, very thankful. If you take one look at their social media accounts, although I'm sure that, they probably have social media managers as most NBA athletes, real athletes in general tend to have. It'll tell you everything you need to know in regards to how happy they are. And Dennis, in particular, he's been really transparent. I feel like his love for Cleveland, just really love for being here. It's just awesome, right? One of the things that he tweeted out today, 14 hours ago, as of recording this, is let's make it 5 today, meaning let's make it 5 in a row. And that's exactly what the fuck happened. So I'm glad to have them. I think that they are glad to be here. And you're seeing some of that inspired play being put on the film out there. Nate 406 says, Matt got the graphics down, Pat. Hey, I'm trying to step my game up, trying to up the production value of this show. I am a one-man band, but it is worth the time. Anna Martin says, a great game. Absolutely. Agree 100%. May Summer says, Sam was on fire tonight. No question about it. He is an absolute legend for shooting 3-pointers 100%. Dude was phenomenal, out of his mind tonight, truly. R. Speller says 11 of 12 from the field and 9 of 10 from 3-point range for Money Merrill. Geez Louise. Absolutely. I feel compelled to play this one more time as I queued it up just for tonight.
That boy is good.
Listen, Sam Merrill, it's just awesome to see him do what he does on a night-to-night basis when he's truly in his bag. Rude Lane says, made the right choice choosing Merrill over Jerome. To me, this is a conversation that I think it didn't have to be or this or that, in my opinion. I think obviously they could have brought Ty back if they wanted to. Obviously, the tax bill would have been higher. But I think that the larger conversation here is that Sam has been worth that contract and more. I don't want to make it a Ty, choosing Merrill over Ty thing. To me, it's more so about the Cavaliers believing what Sam Merrill brings to the table translates better at a playoff level in a postseason setting. And that he's been worth every penny that he has been paid. Hailstone says Money Merrill. Miles Johnson says Harden was so passive today. Very interesting to watch. That's exactly what you want to see. You don't want to see him dominating the possession to possession. You want to see him dominating the rock. He is moving that ball. As I already pointed out, the usage rate for James Harden is substantially lower here than it has been or had been rather for LA. About a 9% drop off in usage, 26.4% with Cleveland through 2 games. And I'm sure it'll be lower after today, maybe a little higher considering the fact that he did dole out so many assists, but it's probably still around that 27, 28% range, which is good. That's what you want to see. Don't want to see him stealing so many touches away. Momo says Sniper Sam is a bad man. Absolutely. Absolutely. HJ17 says, I still don't know how we fit Max into this current roster. Sam and Keon need to play, and they will play. The key is that they're just going to play extremely small. This is what we have all been saying. I'm sure you know this too. The Cavaliers are probably at full strength going to operate with no true third center. That third center will be Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley when they rotate, when they stagger the minutes. So I don't know what it's going to look like. I assume Kenny's going to play 10 deep during the rest of the regular season, maybe even 11. But come the playoffs, that's when things get really interesting. But I don't put it past Kenny to make it work, even if he has to play extremely small. I think that your starting five, and again, I still do have Jalen Tyson starting. I still do have Jalen Tyson starting next to this wonderful starting five, right? James Harden, Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley, Jarrett Allen. That is set in stone. Nothing is going to change that short of an injury. Jalen Tyson to me is the fifth starter. You can argue for Dean Wade. You can argue for Keon Ellis, I guess. But to me, it is undoubtedly. You can also argue for Max Strus, obviously. But to me, it's Jalen Tyson. But I also believe that Sam Merrill will play, Max Strus will play, Keon Ellis will play, Dennis Schroeder will play, Dean Wade will play. There's so many mouths to feed. I don't know what the fuck they're going to do, but this is a good problem to have. Nicotine says Sam's got to be creeping up on Tyson at 3-point percentage after that performance. Sam has been absolutely ballistic. He's been bonkers this year from 3-point distance. After tonight's game, I want to say that he is shooting somewhere in the neighborhood of I got to pull that up, but he's been absolutely crazy this year from 3-point distance. After tonight's performance, I think he is at and that's in the playoffs, regular season. 47.2% is what StatMuse has it at. And I think that is updated as of right now. If you look at the leaders on the season from 3-point distance, things are going to get really, really interesting here down the stretch as they continue to go back and forth in that regard. But I'm right here to see how this race finishes. Entering tonight's play, I think that 3-point percentage leader was Luke Kennard at 49.4%. Jalen is at 47.5. Sam is at 47.2. Tari Eason is also at 47.2. Cam Spencer is at 45.3. At least like entering tonight, I think. I don't think NBA.com updates that on a nightly basis. I think they updated a couple of hours after or the day after, but don't quote me on that. Tribe says 2 or 3 seed is key, but that way wouldn't have to play Detroit until Eastern Conference Finals. I think we all want to see Detroit versus Cleveland in the Eastern Conference Finals. Kenny Atkinson versus JB Bickerstaff. That's the stuff of nightmares for a lot of other teams. But it's going to be fantastic watching that if that happens. Damaris McCoy says, "We here, Mac. We absolutely are. We absolutely are. I'm loving what I'm seeing out of this team. I have some reservations still, but as of right now, through these first 3 games of the Harden era and first 4 of the Schroeder and Ellis eras, I'm feeling really good about where we are right now. It's great stuff." Nate 406 says, "As you can tell, I think every non-shooting big should be benched damn near." I'm assuming that's about somebody else in the chat. HJ says, "I think Tyson will be fine once he goes back to starting at the 3, guarding up a position and having an ankle injury is negatively impacting his game." And I think I discussed that earlier, so I agree with that. I truly agree with that. Nicotine says, "Max might take Dennis Mintz if he comes back." Yeah, it's truly what could end up being the case, but I don't necessarily think that is set in stone. I think having a point guard out there, especially somebody who can put the ball on the floor, is a big luxury. But the reality is that in the playoffs, James Harden and Donovan Mitchell might very well end up being the backup point guard by default, meaning that they'll rotate and play minutes with the reserves, like we have seen with Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen switching off at the reserve 5. Philip Phillips II says, "Mac, timeline on Strus return. First, it was December, then January, almost All-Star break. Heard anything about him?" Honestly, no, I haven't. It's a huge mystery right now. I couldn't tell you, to be honest with you. Tony Pesta, what's up, Tony? He says, "We are so back, Mac." Yeah, we are. Tony got into a bit of an accident today, so wish him well. I think the car got wrecked. So reach out to Tony if you haven't already. I don't know if you wanted that to go public, but prayers up for Tony. Hope the car's okay. Rude Lane says cash money Merrill. Rob Coons Khan says Sam Black card Merrill. Yeah, I mean, Tony also says, Nate, do you still hate Jarrett Allen? My friend, listen, Tony, I don't know how often you actually watch these during the live streams, but Nate is constantly going after Jarrett Allen. Maybe he does it during your show too, but I just don't understand the hate. But I think the one thing that we can all agree on is that Jarrett Allen has been absolutely bonkers during these last 7 games or so, really dating back to January, right? Jarrett Allen, his level of play has been elevated so far this season, but it's just been great to see Jarrett be more involved in the offense because I think that was the problem more than anything. Now, obviously, Jarrett was dealing with some finger issues, some hand issues in terms of injuries, but I think moreover and more importantly, his involvement has waned at points during the season. With James Harden in town and with Jalen Tyson prior to that becoming more involved as an on-ball creator out of the pick and roll, I think you've seen an explosion from Jarrett Allen, and that's only elevated since James has got here. But in Jarrett's last 7 appearances, he is averaging 21.6 points, 10.9 rebounds, and 2.3 assists to go along with 2.3, to go along with 1.1 blocks and 0.9 assists, steals. But he is shooting 73.6% from the field, which is absolutely insane from an efficiency standpoint. That's crazy. He has a true shooting percentage of 74%. That is absolutely crazy to me. And obviously everything is at the rim. That is going to be something that remains a constant for him as long as James Harden is looking to find him and getting him the ball. And it's not just James, but James has been the biggest proponent of that. And that's a beautiful sight because while Jarrett Allen can be heavily dependent on guard play and guys to get him the ball, I mean, he's obviously in my opinion, he's a top 5 center. He's playing like one right now. And I don't think that can really be argued because on the offensive end, he is so damn hard to stop once he seals off or runs out in transition or is operating out of the pick and roll as the pick and roll man. And on the defensive end, he has proven to be one of the better rim protectors in the league. I know that Evan Mobley, when he is healthy, tends to steal the show because of his switch ability, his ability to operate as a defender out on the wings and the perimeter while also being this dominant rim deterrent. But Jarrett Allen is also somebody who is really skilled in switchable in his own right. So he's a two-way player, man. He's a two-way player. The only thing that can make it better is if Jarrett Allen could consistently get to that mid-range jump shot that he has because he has the touch, or if he could knock down some semblance of a 3. But honestly, even if he doesn't do that, I'm okay. Like because what he's doing right now is perfectly fine, and he's the perfect big to play alongside James Harden. Rob Kahn says, man, I never liked the Harden play basketball. Take a look at me now. I appreciate his game. Yeah, I think it is perfectly understandable to arrive at that. Me, honestly, like I said, I don't run away from it. I was very skeptical about the fit here. I was very skeptical, and I still do have some question marks that won't probably be solved until playoff basketball starts. But I think at this point in time, you'd be crazy. You'd be a madman to not see the potential that this new look team has. And it's not just what Harden has brought to the table. There are elements that Dennis Schroeder and Keon Ellis have also brought alongside Harden. But I think that they're operating at a much higher, or rather with a much higher ceiling than they had been. And availability is a huge thing. And James Harden has been available. And that's about all I can say. And I think that's probably a good place to end the stream at. If you guys are still here by chance, whether you're watching on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, or wherever else that you may be streaming,
Do your boy a favor, hit that like button, subscribe if you're not yet a subscriber to the It's Cavalier podcast. If you want to support the show in a small but helpful way, consider becoming a member over on Patreon. You can do so for as little as $1 a month. Hell, you can do it on YouTube for the same price. You never know how much that helps. Every little bit counts. But even if you don't, you know your boy will be here making the content come rain or shine, win or loss, because I love this team. And I know you guys do too. Go Cavs.